got that look, man.
He's a cop. You cop?
He just shakes his head. He doesn't say yes or no. He just shakes his head. He didn't actually like
answer.
Yeah. He could have been like shaking off the whatever.
Yeah, he answered, but he didn't like legit say
Right.
With his mouth.
Because I'm not sure if you're. Yeah. I wonder if you're allowed to.
Verbally.
Yeah, like if that comes out, they could claim entrapment. Because you know what entrapment is, right? So entrapment is basically is what these undercover drug agents do, where they pose in street clothes and they say, "Hey man, you want some weed?" And then you're like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take some weed." And then you buy it, and like you're under arrest for buying weed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah, but I wouldn't have bought the weed if you hadn't offered it to me.
Yeah, for drugs, and also they do that for prostitution.
Right.
Like,
If you come up to him, if I'm an undercover cop and I'm like, "Hey baby, you want some action?" I came to you, like that's entrapment.
Yeah.
But I think they have to wait for the customer to come to them.
Yeah.
So that way it's not entrapment, but it's entrapment if, So basically, for Brian O'Connor to be coming through here, and dragging these guys around, without telling them he's a cop, they could be like, "Oh, he did." I asked him, and he said he wasn't a cop, and then he turns out he's a cop. That's entrapment.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Use that in a court of law.
Yeah. So I think
know your rights.
Yeah, know your rights. It's very important.
Know your role.
So there's a guy on there's a music video going around on YouTube called "Don't Stay in School," and I follow the people associated with him, and so don't let it mislead you. It's not saying, "Hey kids, don't stay in school." It's saying these subjects should not stay in school, and his rap is about like, I don't know what my rights are, but I can do this long division math that I'm never going to use unless I'm a mathematician. And it's like, I don't know what's currently happening in the world, because every time I try to talk about it, people like get uncomfortable about what I'm talking about, current events, but you're going to teach me about things that happened millennia ago. And so that subject, don't stay in school, he's saying, kids, we need to start teaching children things like that. Like, what's entrapment mean? What happens if you do this? What happens if you ask a cop, "Are you a cop?" and they lie to you, and then later they arrest you? It's like, I asked you if you were a cop and you lied to me. Like, I wonder, like, that sort of stuff is what they should teach, and how to like do your taxes, and what does divorce entail? Like, don't get married because this could happen. If don't get married in a hurry, it's like because then you might get divorced, and you have to go through all this if you want to get divorced. So like, teach kids what divorce is like. And that way they don't just be like, "Oh, marriage, it's like no big deal." Because it's so easy to get married, but it's so hard to get divorced.
Yeah, like don't rush.
Yeah.
Don't rush, make the right choice.
Yeah. So that's the sort of thing they should teach in schools now.
Yeah. If you make a bad decision, there are a lot of consequences, and marrying the wrong person, big consequences.
Yeah. Especially if you marry
That's Michael Jordan. You know how many millions he's lost in his divorce. That's why he had to come up with a prenuptial agreement.
Yeah, prenuptial agreements. But things like that, teach that in school. Be like, "Oh, hey, by the way, kids, if you inherit millions of dollars and you marry somebody and then you get divorced, they might take 50% of your inheritance because you're married."
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't we know that in elementary school? Yeah, well,
maybe not elementary school, but maybe high school or
maybe
some
like
other.
I'm just saying, like, there are these things that should be common sense, but we refuse to tell people, and then they learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
And the reason why elementary school is because a lot of people don't make it to high school, and a lot of people don't make it through high school. So I mean, there's a city in Ohio called Fostoria, and the kids, when I was growing up, they didn't go to high school because there's a factory in Fostoria, and their parents worked in the factory, all their family worked in the factory, and like, why would I go to school? I'm just gonna work in the factory. I can start working at the age of 15, full-time job at this factory, and then they never go to school after that. They're just content with that for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that there's certain conversations that children should have with their parents.
That too, dude. A lot of parents think it's the teacher's job to teach. And it's like, no, parents, the teachers can teach these specific things, but the parent has to have these conversations. But we're seeing that that's not the case. They're not having these conversations. So what can we do about that to help support parents having these hard conversations with their kids?
Well, get educated, not just the parents, but the kids. Research, and as Vin Diesel says, take it a quarter mile at a time.
That's right. Live your life a quarter mile at a time.